Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1517B, and today's date is March 9th, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Deep State Wants Snowden. He might have the evidence to take them down. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, Q has been talking about IBOR, the Internet Bill of Rights. And we can see that there are certain social media platforms, almost all of them, that have been taking, I'm talking about the really big popular ones, that have been taking down news channels, those people that are not on the same track as the corporate media, and they're trying to silence as many of these individuals as possible. And they're continually putting a lot of pressure on these outlets. And Q was out there saying that we need the Internet Bill of Rights. And Q came out and said, are we going to have more freedom of speech on private public speech services or not? Please answer this question. We need to regulate the social media platforms. And some platforms will collapse under their own weight of illegal activities once we do this. What Q is saying, and I believe Q and Trump are intermixed into one here. They're both saying, watch the sales, watch the sell-offs, liquidity events. And you will see these individuals dumping their stocks of the social media platforms, which has started in mid-2017 because they see the writing on the wall. George Soros is sold off Twitter, Facebook, and Apple. He's also selling off many other stocks that he has, Google and many others. Zuckerberg has sold off nearly 500 million Facebook stocks in February. Evie Williams sell-off of Twitter. And Q is saying, watch these individuals, watch many people as they sell off their shares because they realize, well, their time is done. They need to get out. They can't be a part of this. And once this regulation comes out, once everyone has freedom on the social media platforms and everyone can speak their mind, they don't want to be involved in this. And once the illegal activity is put out there, these companies are going to be in trouble. Because you know what happens when there's investigations. They dig. They find things. They read emails. They go into their servers. They go through their records and they can see what they've done in the past. And remember, most of these social media platforms are intertwined and received grants from the government, and they are intertwined with the intelligence agencies. So, at this point, they know what all of these companies are doing. And we already have one of Trump's campaign managers for the 2020 campaign is out there warning Facebook, warning Google, warning YouTube and the rest to play fair or else. And you know they're not going to play fair. That's not how they work. We see there are certain individuals that are coming forward and they're pointing their fingers at Soros when it has to do with Fusion GPS. Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska claims that Daniel Jones, a former FBI investigator, Feinstein staffer, and now a Fusion GPS operative, told the Russian oligarch's lawyer in March 2017 that Fusion GPS was funded by a group of Silicon Valley billionaires and George Soros. So already we can see that these people have their hands in Fusion GPS. The Clintons, Soros, and the whole lot of them. Because the whole thing was created and funded to push their agenda to make sure that Trump didn't get into the White House. And if Trump did get into the White House, they could remove him, which is turning out to be a lot tougher than they thought. We see that Christopher Steele, well, he might be doing some wet work here, or people that he has hired to do some wet work, because we see that the Russian double agent was poisoned along with his daughter in Salisbury, England last weekend, and he is linked to former British spy Christopher Steele. So it looks like they might be cleaning up some of these individuals. And Lavrov was commenting on this entire story, and he's saying that the coverage of the Russian double agent's alleged poisoning is hysterical propaganda. Now, the UK media, they went crazy on this. They went into full-blown Russia hysteria following reports of a dead ex-Soviet spy on a park bench in the quiet town of Salisbury, England. And this is not the first time a tabloid-style Russian spy media campaign has cascaded through the mainstream media. What's generally left out of this latest mainstream conspiracy theory is that the latest dead ex-spy, Sergei Skripal, had a relationship with the shady British intelligence disinformation agent, Christopher Steele, the man who supplied the fabricated Trump dossier, which was funded by Hillary Clinton, George Soros, and many others. Now, it is beyond any doubt that Steele would have known him. A Professor Anthony Glees, the director of the Center for Security and Intelligence Studies at the University of Buckingham, said, yeah, most likely he knows who this individual is, and they've met before. Based on this connection, it's more likely that Skripal could have been a player in a British intelligence operation to defame President Trump. Now, Russia is out there, and they're saying they are prepared to cooperate with the British investigation, but basically what they're saying is that, listen, we had nothing to do with this. You need to show some evidence that Russia is linked to this, because just throwing out propaganda, seeing it on the news stations with no evidence linking Russia or anything like that, that's just propaganda. And once again, this to me looks like wet work. Cover your tracks, get rid of those individuals that know things, because they can see that things are closing in on them and things are not going to be going their way. We see Trump agrees to meet with Kim Jong-un. And we've been talking about this for quite a while, where the corporate media was leading us to believe that we were headed to war, that North Korea was ready to strike anywhere in the world, the United States, Chicago, Alaska. I mean, they were naming all different cities. And we've always said that everything was happening behind the scenes. Trump, Russia, China, South Korea, they've been meeting for a very long time. And again, they duped the deep state. During the Olympics, the freeze plan was put into action. And what's very interesting about all this, the corporate media doesn't even know what to do with all this. I mean, they're out there saying that Trump is a madman, he's going to bring us to war. Trump is a madman, this peace talks is going to bring us to war. I mean, they really don't want to admit that we might have peace with North Korea, because this is not part of their agenda. Their agenda is to go to war. That's what they wanted all along. Now, the thing that the corporate media doesn't know is that Trump has already met with Kim Jong-un. The meeting already took place. The deal is already set. Everything is already done. Now, how do we know this? Well, Trump was in China at the Forbidden City, met with Kim Jong-un there, with China, Russia, and the rest, already agreed that North Korea will disarm, discuss reunification, and we can see right now Q is already out there saying, listen, everything has a meaning. Think back to the North Korean pics where Trump tweeted out, "Thank you, Asia, #USA." Had the window of the jet facing down, looking at North Korea, because he's already met with Kim Jong-un. And Q came out and said, "Thank you, Kim. Deal made. Clowns out." Clowns meaning the CIA intelligence agency. We took control. Iran is next. Q. This whole issue with Iran will be resolved by 11/11. Very interesting, because that's when we're going to have also the parade. So everything is going to be completed by this parade date. Now let's think about Iran. Who really wants a war with Iran? Israel. Trump, to me, actually made a deal with Israel to have this embassy move. So Israel lays off of Iran, keeps away from Iran. Trump does not want a war with Iran. Yes, he talks a lot, just like he talked about North Korea, but everything is being done behind the scenes. Now, when Obama made the deal, the P5+1 deal, made this huge payoff to them, remember what the deep state likes. They want these countries to have no nuclear weapons so they can go in and have regime change. What did the P5+1 deal do? It made sure, because they were inspected by the IAEA, that they never had or they never could develop nuclear weapons, which would make it a lot easier for them to go in and invade Iran, because their plan was to go into Syria and then Iran. That was the plan. And there was a payoff behind the scenes to make it all look great and make Iran feel good that they're doing the right thing. And we can see at this point that right now there's already talks in the background with Iran to bring peace and to stop all this propaganda that Iran is bad. Iran is getting ready to attack. It's not going to happen. Now, Putin came out and he had that message where he had this nuclear weapon that could dodge our defenses, the U.S. defenses, which of course, most likely it can. It can hit anywhere in the world and it would be devastating. Now, I think he did this for two reasons. One, telling the deep state, listen, if you try anything, you're doomed. It's game over. Russia will not stand for it. The second reason is that Trump has been trying for quite a while, even before he was president, to have dialogue with Russia. And the corporate media, the deep state, they didn't want to have anything to do with Russia whatsoever. They want to go to war with Russia. Remember, Putin took control of the central bank, of the private Western central bank, took control of that and dictated what he wanted the central bank to do. Now, the private Western central bankers, they don't like this. And that made Putin an enemy. So we see at this point that right now, Putin basically did two things. One, showing how advanced their weapon system is and how the deep state, if you make a move, you're doomed. The second one is pushing the government officials in the United States to open a dialogue with Russia. And we're already seeing this happen. We see that there was a letter addressed to U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and signed by Senators Edward J. Markey, Jeff Merkley, Dianne Feinstein, Bernie Sanders, and others, saying that we need to open up a strategic dialogue with Moscow without delay. Because they realize that, hey, we shouldn't be going to war with Russia. It will not be good for this country. It will not be good for the world. And basically, this is why Putin came out and did this. This is all part of a huge strategy between Putin, Trump, Xi Jinping, and others, where they're pushing the deep state into a corner. Now, what's very interesting is Q is continually telling us to look at Snowden. He's saying things like, which country does he really work for? Look at his family. Now, his maternal grandfather, Edward J. Barrett, was a rear admiral in the U.S. Coast Guard who became a senior official with the FBI and was at the Pentagon in 2001 during the September 11th attacks. Father Lonnie was also an officer in the Coast Guard. Mother Elizabeth is a clerk at the U.S. District Court for the District of Maryland. Older sister Jessica was a lawyer at the Federal Judicial Center in Washington. And what this tells me is that Snowden is a patriot. Snowden is working for the United States, not the deep state, which I don't think he is. Maybe I could be completely wrong on this, but from what Q has been pushing out there and from the evidence that we've seen, I don't think Assange or Snowden is working for the deep state. Now, Q says both Assange and Snowden, they're on the move. When was Julian Assange last seen in the embassy in London? Well, he has a diplomatic passport. How did Snowden get from Moscow to Hong Kong? Clowns want Snowden badly. Clowns, CIA, intelligence operatives, deep state. Snowden 24 Twitter, A, B, or C. We can take you anytime, Q, which means they know where Snowden is. They told us to look at Hong Kong. They told us to look in this direction. And they're saying that we can take you at any time, we can bring you in. Now, a lot of people thinking we'll bring him in and arrest him. No, if they really wanted to arrest him, they would just go in and take him. I think when the time is right, and Snowden says, okay, yes, it's time to come in, that's what's going to happen. Now, why are the clowns, the CIA intelligence agencies, after Snowden? Well, most likely, I think he has evidence on the deep state, certain individuals within deep state, and maybe even information on 9/11. And they're saying that there's an 85% probability that Snowden has the Hillary Rodham Clinton video, the raw video, and people are speculating that this video is Hillary having sex with a child. Now, Q strongly has indicated that we the people, can push a narrative with Donald Trump as well. Any narrative that we want, because he's saying that Trump is listening. Now, Q has said that for the deep state, those who are going to be brought to justice, there will be no deals for these individuals. No deals. We work for you. We listen to you. You push the IBOR, and immediately POTUS began to comment, take action on the social media giants. We are playing the game. It's a deadly game. The deep state is out there, and the deep state, well, they play dirty. And basically what is happening is we're playing this game with the deep state. Now, people are saying, why can't we just bring these people in? Why can't this just happen right away? Well, first of all, they need the evidence. They just can't present it and say, hey, this is what's been happening, just believe us. Remember when Trump came out and said Obama was spying on him? Now the corporate media went off and everyone was laughing. There's no way. That's just ridiculous. And it took some time to gather the evidence and to put that out there. I think from that point, they learned, you know something? Wait a minute. Let's not just put this out there. Let's get all the evidence, get all the documentation, and then put the message out there, and then immediately back it up with all the facts. Because what they did was, before, they allowed the corporate media, the deep state, to convince everyone that this was a gigantic joke. And we see right now that the people are controlling what Trump does. He hears what people are saying. He sees what people are doing. And we can see that everything that is happening right now is what people were calling for. Maybe it's not happening in the time frame that everyone wants, but I can see that things are definitely accelerating right now. There was a meme that was put out there with Trump pointing the finger at Obama, and someone put the caption under it, "When I'm done, it'll be like you were never even here." And then under that, and this is coming from Q, was the symbol for The Punisher, which is the TV series that is on Netflix, which was created by Marvel. And Q says, when we're done, he'll claim Kenyan citizenship as a way to escape. So already, these individuals, and we talked about this before, that when everything is all said and done, these people are going to run. These people are most likely going to commit suicide, or these people are going to hide in their bunkers, never to be seen again. But what's very interesting about all of this, and we see that Trump is continually pushing different executive orders. Well, he created a new executive order, like an amendment on an old executive order. And this 2018 amendment to the Manual for Court Martials, United States Law and Justice, issued on March 1st, 2018, which gives the president more power and allows him to do other things to have people court-martialed. And this is very interesting because we know that he had another executive order where he could freeze assets and things like that. So he's slowly changing these so he can bring these people to justice and allows him leeway into doing things that he needs to do. And with Q and everything that we're seeing right now, everything is fitting into exactly what we thought was going to be happening right now. The deep state is losing power, but we can't forget there's going to be a dead cat bounce where the deep state is going to try something pretty darn big. We know there's a march coming up on March 24th in front of Washington. So I'm thinking between now and then something big might happen, because this is a way the deep state can push their agenda to send a message to Trump. We've seen other messages that were being sent to Trump. So we can see right now we are on the right track. People need to stay together. People need to send Q, Trump, what they want. And soon, from everything I see, questions will be asked of the people. And we're starting to see people resign. We're seeing the corporate media getting flustered because they don't know what to do with this North Korea thing. I mean, they had analysts on, they had experts on telling us how we were going to war, how everything is going to be unbelievably bad because we need to go in there. They told us all the war plans of how many people were going to die when we invade North Korea. And it all turned out to be fake, phony, and false. All that information that came from Iran, where, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're having terrorists around the world, that's all fake too. It's Saudi Arabia, it's the deep state, it's Israel, it's all these other countries that have the terrorists all over the place running around. And remember, Iran was invited into Syria. Russia was invited into Syria. Syria is a sovereign country with an elected leader. The people are coming back to the country. Why would they come back to a dictator if they escaped the country? And I'm not talking about 3 or 4 or 5 people. I'm talking about millions of people that are returning to the country as each town and city is liberated from the Islamic State. That tells you something. We've been lied to all this time, and they're still lying to us. And all this information is going to be coming out, and America is going to be shocked. America is not going to know what to do, especially when proof is presented. And once proof is presented and facts are presented, there's nothing the corporate media can do. They can say he's crazy. They can say it's fake. All they have to do is come out and say, prove it's not real. Show us your documentation. Show us your proof. And this is where their propaganda falls apart. And these corporate media stations, they might not even exist anymore. Because people are going to lose interest and people are going to say, well, wait a minute, you've been lying to us all this time? And the only way to convince people is to show them the truth. And people are not going to go, oh my God, I got the truth. Thank God. Now I can go out in my life. Now I know everything. No, they're going to have mental breakdowns. They're going to pop just like in Matrix. It's going to take them a while. They're going to get angry. They're going to go through all the different steps, just like you did when you started to wake up. And they're not going to understand why they were lied to all this time. Why their brothers, their uncles, their cousins, their children had to die in these wars. And it's going to be a very difficult time. But what I think is going to happen, I think America is finally going to come together. Because the deep state, for a very long time, has been trying to separate us. But as America, as Americans, we should come together. Our enemy is not each other. The enemy is the deep state, is the central bank. That's the true enemy. But they don't want us to know this. This is why they have us fighting with each other. It's time for us to come together. It's time for peace. It's time for us to look at the real enemy and to see what the real enemies have been doing to us. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.